A few weeks ago, a 66-year-old handyman named Lawrence Herr was installing a mailbox outside of a home in Kenner, Louisiana, toiling away in the heat, working past retirement age to provide for his sick 90-year-old mother. And that's when two men in their 20s, Taj Matthews and Maurice Holmes were their names, drove by. And unlike Lawrence Herr, Taj and Maurice were not productive members of society. They were not the kinds of people you'd want living in your neighborhood or anywhere near your kids. Maurice Holmes had just gotten out of prison on a 6-year sentence for domestic violence. And that day, Maurice Holmes and Taj Matthews were supposed to be at their jobs at IHOP, but they pretended to be sick so that they could take the day off. And a few hours after getting out of work, they passed Lawrence Herr for the first time as he was working on the mailbox. Surveillance footage shows that the two men drove by and then made a U-turn and passed by Lawrence Herr again. And then they made another U-turn and they drove past a second time and then another U-turn. On the third pass, Maurice Holmes handed a 9mm pistol to Taj Matthews, who then proceeded to shoot Herr in the back. Lawrence Herr bled out next to the mailbox as the two men drove away. Now, why would these two young men decide to skip work so that they could stalk and murder a handyman in the middle of the day? It didn't take long for the police to answer that question. According to authorities, quote, one of the two suspects has admitted to his role in the crime, explaining that they wanted to go out and kill a white guy. Maurice Holmes and Taj Matthews were black, and Lawrence Herr was white. So they executed him. Now, these men, they didn't know Lawrence Herr. They didn't get into some kind of altercation with him that day. He didn't shout the N-word at them while they drove past. Not that that would justify it. They just decided to take a day off work to go hunting for white people. And so they did. Here's an official with the Kenner Police Department laying out the details. Listen.
There's some of the confession of Taj Matthews, who admitted to taking part in the homicide, that they did want to commit a murder that day, and specifically they've ruled out Hispanics, and they said it was going to be a white person. Within a couple blocks of their residence, or their starting point, they did find Mr. Herr out working on a mailbox doing what he does, and shot him in the back.
Now, no mainstream media outlet in the country has covered this story from what I've seen. CNN, Fox News, the New York Times, the New York Post. You can search any of their websites for Lawrence Herr, and you can check me on this, and you'll get no results.